a great salesperson is very good at transforming, finding out new information and changing everything they're doing. And how many people do you know that are naturally good at that in the modern world? There aren't that many.
Mm-hmm.
Despite what the self-help books tell you. When put to the test, most people do the routine they know.
Yes, that's really true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a great salesperson, a great entrepreneur, a great mature genius knows that they're not going to stay the same person, that staying the same person isn't one of the options. So, talk a little bit about what you go through with that.
Well, I think what really made me change was feeling like it was very necessary for me to take action. And by doing things, I discovered what was possible. But before that, I was looking at the world through what I knew before, whether it was from my family of origin or the work experience I had or my own fears. And so I didn't even know what was possible because I hadn't done it.
Well, it's important to note that your family is very successful in general. Almost everyone in your family is a high achiever.
Yes, that's true.
Very smart people. But they were high achievers within a certain system.
That's right.
So winging it as an entrepreneur is different than working for a hospital. It just is. And so most people go back to where there's a paint by numbers kit, even if it's a very advanced paint by numbers kit.
Mm-hmm.
Prospecting is a very different activity. Making it rain on your own is a different activity. Although there were systems, like in my practice building systems you used when you started and whatnot, they're very loose. They're very broad, which used to drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what fixes that is what's missing is the part the customer gives you, the part the client fills in. It is very hard to get people to trust that. When they're coming in as therapists, to get them to trust everything that's missing, do not fill it in. Because it's where the variables of how all of the clients act fit. So in NLP, we talk about deliberate versus spontaneous. Is the person having to have it be deliberate, or can they be spontaneous? You and I are very different in our natural state. You are a very deliberate person with great organizational skill. I am a very spontaneous person. I want to improvise it. But the very best salespeople are both. So I have to work very hard when it's time to be deliberate, because I would rather be spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Now I take that on the chin and I know, well, I have to suck it up and do that. But for yourself, when you have to be hyper spontaneous, you have to suck it up and do that. But that's what behavior flexibility is all about. And so a great consultant is going to help that salesperson be played counter to type.
Mm-hmm.
And become more and more flexible. You mentioned a story when we were talking earlier that my dad lived through when he was helping train a young salesperson. And it's in the beginning of Power Secrets of Sales Magic, the little handout that we did for sales seminars years ago. And I would refer the viewer to that booklet. You can I'll give you permission to let them download it or you can send it out to them if they request it or whatever.
Okay.
But that story is my dad taking a salesman in, and that salesman failed to sell a family that really needed the education for their son. And the salesman blew it. And when we were standing on the doorstep, my dad just told the guy not to speak, knocked on the door. And by the time my dad was done getting the pen he left on the kitchen table, they had purchased the training. Everything was fine. And the father of the young man who was entering the training said, well, Jim, you're a really great guy. I'm really glad I met you, but you shouldn't be a salesman. You're too nice to be a salesman. And it's important to understand that a great salesperson is just giving people the confidence to do what they needed to do in the first place. Whether it's in writing or putting a website together correctly or doing the videos that help someone, you're setting up the ability to have the confidence to do what they need to do in the first place. That's what a great salesperson does.